part of Project 571, genetically engineered vampire created to destroy evil.
What do you want?
We need your help to kill a vampire.
Malleus Maleficario. It was written by a witch. The first witch. Titania.
That was a little snippet from The Witch's Hammer, the first film I ever solo directed, and it's just been remastered and re-released on Amazon. So if you like witches and vampires, then please do check it out. Anyway, let's get on with this week's episode. Are you ready for a micro-budget movie masterclass? Now, my next guest, Jason Park, he's made short films, but he's also made a bunch of feature films, and he's also acted in them. He pretty much does all jobs on set. He's got a lot of energy, but he's also got a lot of great advice about self-distributing, about getting your film up on YouTube, marketing. We talk about all sorts. This is a good one if you're working on your first feature film, or if you're a couple of feature films in and you want to know a little bit more about sales and distribution or self-distribution and some of Jason's tips for saving money when working on a micro budget. Enjoy. Am I right in saying you're set up now where you're creating these feature films and you're self-distributing them all, or are you doing any kind of like sales agent distributory style stuff?
That's a great question. I just had a conversation with somebody about this yesterday on Speed Faster particularly. So with Four Amigos, which is also released as Fast Atlanta, that I went with the distributor, and Pizza Boy Rick, I went with the distributor. Now, Pizza Boy Rick, I got the rights back, so now I'm self-distributing through Film Hub. Unfortunately, with Four Amigos, that's a 10-year deal. And this is before I was savvy, privy to anything. I was just excited, right? That another company that had sort of a reputation wanted to represent the film. Now I understand the game very differently, right? It's a numbers game, right? If you can acquire 1,000 films and each of them make $500, you did something really good. So essentially, after that, Always Smile, I literally put it on Film Hub. And then I released it on YouTube simultaneously. And the reason for that, I'm going to break it down for filmmakers, is a lot of times we have this prestige where we want the biggest platform. We feel like our films are the shit, right? YouTube is the biggest movie platform in the world. It dwarfs Netflix. And the thing you get with YouTube, you may not get, like, let's say if you get your movie on Tubi and that gets 1 million hits compared to YouTube, you'll probably make more money on Tubi. However, the analytics on YouTube far outweigh the analytics you'll ever get from any of these other platforms or distribution companies or anything. So I put it on YouTube simultaneously, and I do that with all my films actually, for a few reasons. One, I know the demographic that's watching it. Two, I can see all of the analytics. But three, unless you're paying on Film Hub for a premium, right? There's other YouTube channels that can go and get your movie like a streaming channel. So I put my movie up and release it first so that if someone else tries to release it, it gets copyright.
Yeah.
So,
I get you.
Yeah. So that's the strategy with that. Yeah.
So let's talk about YouTube. And when you say you're putting it on YouTube, are you getting ad revenue, or are you actually selling it on YouTube?
No, ad revenue.
Ad revenue.
Ad revenue. Yeah. It's, we live in an interesting time where, as an artist, you want to be able to sell your movie and people buy it. However, unfortunately, and this is just an opinion, but unless you have a huge price tag associated with that and you have stars and all this stuff and people are just foaming at the mouth to watch it, which most of our indie films, mine included, no one's foaming at the mouth to watch it, right? That the entire industry is so filled with content and things that interest the individual, right? If you're a bow hunter, you like consuming bow hunting. And it's really hard for something that's not bow hunting to capture your attention, especially as you get older. So I put it on there for free. And really the goal is to garner those views and build a fan base. I actually went and switched my entire approach to where instead of me spending marketing dollars on Amazon Prime or Tubi or the CW or wherever your movie lands, I'm going to spend my marketing dollars all towards my YouTube. So they're all directed to my YouTube channel. So through that process, if you get a lot of subscribers, then anytime you release something new, they're waiting for it and you're controlling your fan base.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of a little bit like people who build email newsletter lists, is you're controlling that group of people, or at least you can market direct to them. And the YouTube thing I hadn't considered, which is a really good idea, is being able to look at those demographics and see who's actually watching your film. I'd say from my perspective, I've done exactly what you said maybe I shouldn't do, is we released a film, an older film that we got the rights back to, and it does take a long time to get those rights back. We got the rights back, we released it on Tubi, and we were going to hold off YouTube, but I did upload it to YouTube anyway, unlisted, so that it is the first instance of that, so I can do a copyright strike if I need to. Although the previous film, we had tons of, it must have been as soon as it came out on Tubi, tons of video channel sites put the film up, and it's heartbreaking because you find out about it months later and they've had hundreds of thousands of views. You're just like, oh my god, if we'd have got those views, that would be worth a lot more.
Yeah,
it's important to say, for anyone thinking of doing that YouTube release, obviously you've got to have 1,000 subscribers and so many watch hours to be monetized so that you can make ad revenue in the first place.
Yeah.
So you're now so you've been through the mill with distributors, sales agents, left that behind. We're now going for a YouTube to-be release strategy. And when you say marketing dollars, what would you do? How do you promote your films and how do you direct them to that YouTube link?
So I'm actually waiting now to pivot back just a little bit because I don't want to forget it. With Speed Faster, I'm actually entertaining a sales agent for international. So I'll keep all the US rights, right, and put it on the Film Hub and YouTube and all that good stuff. But I'll allow them to go into the territories that they may have already have connections with and get those MGs and get those sales and take their percentage. And the reason for that is I don't want to necessarily do the groundwork myself, right? I don't know these people. I don't have these connections. I'll be sending blind emails. Granted, I do have the product that they're interested in. But if I have a sales agent that's already reputable that's going to do that, and they're going to take their 10, 15%, that's fine. Because they should have an idea as well. Like, hey, with this type of movie, in particular, Speed Faster, multi-billion-dollar business outside of Fast and the Furious, there's no competition. The car community is massive, and I have the crown jewel of JDM cars in the movie. So you don't have stars as far as humans, but you have stars as far as cars. That is worth something. So with that idea, if they're like, hey, we know guaranteed we can get you outside of our cut, we can get you 50,000, 80,000, whatever that is for international sales, then that makes sense to me because that's a whole, I'm not leaving money on the table. So to your point about marketing back to YouTube, now I haven't started yet because I'm waiting to see organically what it does and then what that demographic is. Because once you have a snapshot of, let's say a movie does 50,000 views or 100,000 views or whatever organically, or even 10,000, right? That you'll know, okay, the graphic is males 18 to 24 and they're in Australia. Well, then I'm just going to go and market it to Australia because they're the biggest audience.
Yeah, definitely. And if you would assume it's a car movie, it is going to be those males 18 to 24, but it'd be interested to see the actual data and also I guess you'll get to see how long people watched it. And maybe even that's nuts to think that might affect a film that you make later down the line, that you might consider ad revenue when you're thinking about your peaks and troughs in your actual story.
Well, here's what's fascinating that might be interesting to you, especially because you have multiple films as well, that with Speed Faster, I'm going to do something that I haven't done with any of the other films, that I'm going to release it twice. So I'm going to release it once as a feature film, and then I'm going to release it as a series. I'm going to break it up into 4 parts, into 4 episodes, and call it something else.
Right. And what, on Tubi, you're going to put it on twice on Tubi?
Yep.
For example.
I'm going to try and see what happens, right? So like the movie's going to be called Speed Faster, and then maybe for the series, I'll call it Drive Harder or just something, and see what it does, because I've been reading up lately that people are more willing, or I'm sorry, I was listening to a podcast and the guy was saying how he cut, what was it? I think it was Star Wars or it was Titanic or something like that, a movie into a series. So he broke it up for his girlfriend into 4 parts, and she watched it with him and loved it, but wouldn't watch the movie, but would watch the series.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. I'd be interested to know if Tubi is sophisticated enough to, not Tubi, Film Hub is
Yeah.
sophisticated enough to realize you've uploaded the same thing.
Yeah,
Are you
I
gonna
don't know.
are you gonna shoot anything else, or are you literally gonna just cut it into blocks?
No, I'm literally going to cut it into 4 blocks. And just I'm curious, right? Maybe even on the YouTube side, I'll cut it into 4 blocks too, put it up there and just see what it does. Because essentially what I figured out was they say, or 50 Cent actually said it. He was like, with movies, you need name talent. With series, you just need a good story, right? So if I can break it up into 4 pieces, you literally, if you have that same audience that likes your movie, you just multiplied your views by 4.
Yeah, and I guess you've only got to get them through half an hour to get them onto the next half an hour. But then
Exactly.
I don't, having not, have you released any TV series before on Tubi, or has
No,
it all been
never.
no? Because I wonder how what the ad revenue's like, and if it kicks in at the same
Oh
amount on a
wait, no,
TV
no, no,
show.
no. I have. I released a show called a reality show, not a but a reality med spa life. It was a show we made for my wife's spa. We did 3 episodes, and it was three
Hmm.
20-minute episodes, and that actually on Film Hub has performed the best.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
All right.
and
Okay.
it was picked up by also by Real Shorts, which is the vertical. The licensing is 2 grand. It's not like a lot of money, and I haven't like cashed out on it or anything. And it takes like I think like 6 months or like a year or something to pay out or something crazy. So it's like you can't even count that money.
Yeah. And have you noticed, apart from Tubi, are there any other platforms from Film Hub that you've noticed are generating any good revenue?
Honestly, no.
Mm.
Outside of those random like Real Shorts licenses, it's like man, you're pinching at pennies, and I think that the reasoning for that is like so Fast Atlanta, Four Amigos, and it's also Furious Fast Atlanta. There's 3 versions, all the same shit. But on YouTube this year, it has 1.5 million views. Right
Wow. Yeah.
now, that's zero marketing, nothing. But that money has only been like $1,300.
Mm.
Right? It's for a whole year. I mean, that like yeah, $1,300 is a lot of money, but for the amount of work and effort you put into a movie, it's like okay, cool. You know what I mean? So when you think of these platforms, it's almost as if the platform itself is making a lot of money, but the individual filmmaker may make like $100 or something. Like
Mm.
it's odd, but I also think it's the genre, and that's why I made Speed Faster to test my theory. I feel like Four Amigos probably did okay, even though it's just a subpar film. I feel like it did okay. I wanted to prove to myself, not going through a distributor, if if Speed Faster, a street racing movie, what those numbers really look like if
Mm.
I just did it myself.
And do you mind me asking what your budget was
For
on
which one?
the car one?
Four Amigos. So that budget was right around like 20K.
20K. All right. Okay. And so how are you doing? How are you doing cars and stunts on 20K?
So man, I'm a grinder, right? So and I know a lot of people in the car community. I'll literally go out to Cars and Coffee, Caffeine and Octane, big car events, and I'll go every person I see. Hey man, I'm shooting this car movie. You want to be a part of it? Hey man, you want to? And I'll just do that over and over and over for like 3 months prior to my first shoot day.
Mm.
So when you go and watch these car scenes and you notice that these are a lot of people and there's all these cars, it's just because I just went and asked, hey, do you want to do it? I'm like, hey, listen, there's no money. I can't pay all of you guys, but do you want to be a part of it? And they're like, yeah. So my strategy is not my strategy, but what I do is because I work a 9 to 5 too, is I shoot on weekends when people aren't doing anything and it's around everyone's schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And you're working with people who are obsessed with cars, and I imagine want their car featured within your film.
100%.
So that's a good budget saving tip related to that specific genre. What would be your top tips for saving money in general on a micro budget film?
So for me, I do everything myself from pre-production, that's writing, that's location scouting, that's casting, to production, that's operating the camera, setting up the lights, um, to acting myself in front of the camera, to post-production, to sound design, editing, film, coloring, packaging it, getting all the right paperwork together, whether I do it myself or I go through a distributor. It's like, here's one file, all the paperwork's done. Everything's done. The ME, the M&Es, the 2.0s, it's all done. There's nothing no one has to do. And this is kind of where my frustration comes in with distributors. Not to say that I've dealt with a lot, but it's like, man, the filmmakers do all the work, right? We do all the work from the inception in our mind to here you go. And then all you have to do for that 10 or 15% is send them email. Hey, what's up, John? I got this movie, man, that's about bears doing cocaine. You interested? Yeah, send me the trailer. And you do that 100 times or whatever, how many territories you got. And that's all you got to do. You can one bulk email and it takes you 15 minutes. Right?
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah. So
yeah, and also, but then also equally, you're doing a lot, so I'm not sure I could fulfill every single one of those roles and not have a mental breakdown, especially since you've said you got a regular 9 to 5 job that I'm assuming is that still IT stuff. That's not related to filmmaking. Yeah.
Yeah, I wake up at 4 a.m. So I get those 4 extra hours in before the day starts.
Wow. Okay. Well, good for you. I'm too old for that. That must be punishing, but you must love it to be able to do that. What about tips for things like casting? What would be your tips for that?
So if you're in America, I would say backstage, go to Breakdown Express. And what Breakdown Express does is it allows you to throw your casting on Actors Access and all that stuff. I don't know if you guys have that over there where you guys are at, but they have Actors Access for a lot of projects. You can either go SAG, non-union. All my films are non-union, and it'll probably stay that way unless I'm a director for hire on something else that's already SAG. I personally work with the same actors on every single movie. I like to I want to build stars. I don't really care for the Hollywood system. I don't really care to have a project and try to go get A and B. I'd rather go to my people and be like, yo, let's go make something dope. And eventually, movie number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10, one pops off. It's like, okay, well, we're stars now. Right? So I'd rather create stars and help in that process than to try and go and look for stars. So if you have a community of actor friends, writers, whoever, and they're like, yo, I'm down, right? Let's just go on weekends. That's all on weekends, right? That's 6 movies in 5 years. And we're not talking about one location. We're not talking about, 4 actors. Four Amigos has like 50 actors. Always Smile was small. Pizza Boy Rick, Rex Park was small. Speed Faster has like 70 actors, right? You're talking, and Rhino King had like 30 actors. You're talking about multiple locations, a bunch of actors, a bunch of stuff going on to where, the only thing that's separating big budget from what we're doing over here is really 3 things. Okay, we're not shooting on an Arri Alexa, so that little upgrade in quality, if you're like us, you can notice it, you can see it, right? You're like, okay, it doesn't have that creaminess, right, that an Arri has or one of those big cameras with expensive lenses has. Another thing is you're not going to see crashes. You're not going to see full out gunfights because if you're not really doing it right, it's just not going to look right. And then you're not going to see, really, that's it. Car crashes, big stunts. You're not going to see, I'm not going to be hopping out of a helicopter, right? Everything is grounded.
Yeah. Okay. And so using the same actors, doing it on weekends, it's a good one. What about, you're in it, you're acting in it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know you're any good? So for me, I would act it and then be like, oh, that, when do you go, yeah, Jason, that was cool, that take, I'll have that. How do you know, is someone else watching you or are you just self-judging the whole thing?
I just self-judge. I just know. It's one of those things where, okay, this is where I'm going to lose people, right? But for me, I'm like, bro, I just don't give a shit, right? Like, I'm just having a good time on this journey. And it's like, if something pops off, great. If it doesn't, great. I still work. I have a beautiful wife. My son's healthy. I just don't care, right? And I take that same approach into acting to where, bro, if the line is, hey, man, I want some pizza. Action. Hey, man, I want some pizza. Cut. Like, that's it. I don't need to be like, yo, what was he thinking before he ordered the pizza? And where is he trying to go after he gets the pizza? The line is, I want some pizza, bro. Right? So I don't I'm not so invested because I know that I make movies for the average audience. I'm not making movies for other filmmakers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm making movies for that person that's halfway on their phone half their time. And maybe they capture something that they like and then they pay attention. If I can get a 7 on performance, on quality, on sound design all the time, I'm good. I'm not trying to reach 10. I'm not trying because it doesn't like, bro, you could be Jesus and somebody's going to hate on you.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna be like,
Yeah.
oh, them damn sandals, man. Come on, man. What was the 1450 BC? It's like, come on, bro. Like, just have a good time with your creations. And as long as you're enjoying the process and what you put out, then really that's all that matters because it doesn't matter how perfect it is, someone's gonna judge it and say it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about what was I going to say? Hang on, my brain's gone blank. You've blown my mind there. That's what it is. Yeah, what was I going to ask you? What were we talking about? We're talking about you not caring, being on camera. Oh yeah, no. What I was going to pick up on was interesting that you said you were making your film for audiences and not other filmmakers, and that is a massive trap that people fall into. Because I was going to, and I will ask you in a second, but as far as gear goes, people get, like you say, obsessed. It's got to be this camera. It's got to be this. Otherwise,
I'll tell you what I shoot
means
on.
X, Y, and Z. So what do you shoot on?
So originally on those first 3 films, I shot on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. Then on Always Smile, which I just released, I shot on the Red Komodo. Then on Rhino King and Speed Faster, I shot on the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K, the full frame version, with Surrey anamorphic lenses. Right, I have the 35, the 75, and I have the 150, and I have a Shizun Crane 3S gimbal. Right, and I went to Home Depot and got like a utility belt, put some pool noodles, right, like a backpack with pool noodles, and I used that to shoot. That's it. It's a super simple setup to where the difference in quality between that and okay, they spent 4 hours setting up those lights, fogging up the room. They got the Arri Alexa with the cooked glass and all this stuff, and they're gonna shoot it, and we shoot the same scene. Guess what, bro? If you're panning and swooping around and that camera is just slightly panning, the audience is not gonna like care. The audience is like, they just don't care. Is the story good? Is it resonating with somebody? Because if it is, then you could literally have a 3-shot where you leave the camera still, go over one shoulder, go over the next shoulder, and you're done. Maybe you get a couple of B-rolls and you're done. It's the different. This is why I say it's so important to make it for the average audience. It's not to say that any of us are average, but just the average audience that's not in the entertainment space. Is I don't care if the lighting is not perfect as long as it's not blown out. Then we're Gucci.
And are you, when you're coming up with the next film, the next project you're going to work on, how much are you thinking about what's going to make money? Because obviously you said you're mad about cars, and you're an actor as well. But how much are you thinking, oh, that'll do well on Tubi, or that won't resonate, or always?
So okay, so I can actually break this down. Rex Park was my film school, so I don't count that. Four Amigos, I know I made that for the car community, right? But now I made Speed Faster, which is a way better version than Four Amigos, to see if my gut feeling on what the numbers are on the audience is, if it's real and true. Pizza Boy Rick was a throwaway thriller that I was like, yeah, let's just make it. Always Smile, I made it to see if I could make people cry. And when we played it in the theater, people were crying, and I was like, okay, I did my job. I had my daughter crying, and she normally doesn't. I was like, okay, I did my job as an actor, right? I wanted to see if I could cry and play these nuanced roles. So that was for me. Always Smile was for me. Rhino King is a rom-com where I play the best friend. And my homie, I made that for my homie to star in the movie. He's one of my best friends from high school and stuff. I made that so he could star and see if we could have a good time with it. And that movie was made specifically for Tubi, right? The main audience at Tubi is African American females. House husband turns into a male stripper, banging body. Okay, that was made for Tubi, right? So that hasn't been uploaded to Tubi yet. So I haven't begun the marketing for that particular film yet. And then Speed Faster, again, I wanted to see if the numbers were correct. And I know that it's an international film, and I know that it could do really well. And I know that it could actually get on a premium platform. I just have to get it into the right hands. And this is me being very realistic about the movie and its quality and everything else associated with it. These first 4 films, I don't know if they could get on a premium platform. Always Smile could have, but for some reason, the genre is a drama. And even on Film Hub, it's been very slow to get picked up by streaming platforms. Very slow. Asian Pacific Islander Film Festivals, all the big festivals, I thought that was the one. I thought Always Smile was the one. And for some reason, they all ignored it. Pizza Boy Rick is a Thriller, that got on the CW, right? So that at least did something to validify, like, okay, as a director or actor, whatever, you did something. To your question, wait, no one knows this, but they know this now. I'm making a horror movie to see horror movies that they say are the ones that perform the best, horror and action, right? Without name talent. So I'm going to go make a quick horror movie, low D-rated slasher to see how well it does.
Mm-hmm. I'll be interested to see your version of a horror movie.
Yeah.
That'll be fascinating.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you entered that film into film festivals. So is that the only one you've tried festivals with? Do you bother with festivals on the other ones? What's your sort of thoughts on film festivals?
Man, I am torn. Okay. I have multiple sides on this. So, and I'm going to break it all down. It's going to be a little winded. I've submitted each one of my films to film festivals, right? And none of them have gotten into any of them. It's a double-edged sword. On one end, I think with every single film you have, it's a lottery ticket and you have to play it, right? Because you don't know which one and who sees it when they see it. You just don't know. That could change the trajectory of your career by simply introducing you to a contact that you've never had, right? On the second end, I think now there's so many submissions. There's no ways that these festivals are watching every film that comes in, right? Third, I think that all the major festivals probably already have A-list talent, big studio films already in their lineup. And the couple of films that are indie that make it are already connected with the people that are programming it.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it's a lottery, it's like, I don't really think that you have even a chance anyways, but that could be cynical because I just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, I've done a whole video on film festivals because it's such a tough one. And I know one side is, I've spoken to a filmmaker before who said he got into a pretty big film festival and he spoke to the organizers and they were like, oh, your X film, well done. You were one of the only ones who got selected. There was 3 films that got selected out of online submissions and the rest were all either pre-programmed or invited to enter. So you imagine how many, it's a big festival, how many people entered. Only 3 of those movies were kind of came from those people who submitted. The other side to that is, and I talk about this in the video I've done, is I've done the approach before where I've entered scattergun, just, that one. They're only $10, $12, $20. I'll enter loads. And actually some are just fake festivals. They don't even exist and they're a complete waste of time unless you want the laurels on your poster. But then some of them I did get into and had a really good experience with. So it's painful, but you're right. If you want to get into a film festival, but not unfortunately, if you want to get into a film festival, you've got to have been to that film festival, I think, the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to meet the people who run it. You've got to shake the hand. You've got to, eye to eye with them, tell them your story so that when you enter, they go, oh, it's Jason Park. Yeah, we like him. He can, he'll be good in this. So it is a bit of it's a minefield.
Well, that's
festivals.
why I'm going to try a different approach. So with Speed Faster, I am going to submit it. Even though it's a street racing film and that kind of film you typically won't have in a festival. I know this going into it, right? But I'm still going to submit it anyways. And I'm going to just ask the question like, yo, what does it cost to get it in here? Like, I know if it's pay to play, what is the cost? Like, is it $1,000? Because at the end of the day, what you come to realize in this space is everybody's eating off of our work. Somehow, the festivals through submissions or something, somebody can push it through, right? Like if I was at a big festival and you were like, "Hey, Jason, I got this movie. Yeah, let me check it out. All right, I'll push it through." Right? The whole world operates that way. If my best friend or one of my friends comes to me and is like, "Hey, man, let me get a role in you." Okay, cool. Yeah, come through. Like that's just how the world operates. So I'm literally gonna go and be like, yo, how much that shit cost, bro? Like, give me the number. Sundance, how much? How much, bro? Just tell me, like, how
But that
much?
costs, yeah, that's going to cost a bit. Sundance. I'll maybe
Yeah,
go for a slightly lower one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was I going to ask you? With things like, I mean, I guess it's pretty standard now. Everyone's using Film Hub, but
Yeah.
are there any kind of tips for Tubi, do you think? Is there anything specific you would say to do or not to do if you want to get selected for that particular platform, since it's the one that seems to earn the most?
Getting selected. I think a lot of films typically get selected, even though they've been a little more choosy lately, it seems. But it's not like it's quality based because there's still a lot of films on there that quality wise you're like, right? But I would say do what you're doing, which I've seen a few times on Facebook, is join the Tubi Facebook groups. Anytime someone asks for a horror movie, thriller movie, whatever, in the comments, go throw your poster in there, whatever, because you never know who comes across it. All of that helps, and then it's just drips. You're just constantly dripping it. Marketing is a constant thing that I feel like if you can't get it organically, which YouTube gives you the chance to get it organically, because it'll start recommending it if people watch it. A lot of people watch it, or they watch it all the way through, they'll start recommending it. Compared to like the Tubies and stuff, where you either have to be in those groups, you have to have a lot of people want to watch it. It's just a different game that if you're not joining those groups, you're doing a disservice to your film as a filmmaker.
Yeah, and also if you're going to join those groups, you can't just plop your poster in every now and again. You've kind of got to be a little bit involved in other things that are on there and kind of interact a little bit. Otherwise, it does come across as look at me. But then I must say, you're really good, pat on the back, for being somebody who's really good at sharing other people's work. I've noticed that about you. I need to get better at that, but I've noticed a few times you've shared someone else's film, you've shared someone else's video. So thank you. And for behalf of me and other people you do that for, it's really good. So just looking back on everything, what do you wish you'd known when you first started making films?
It's that it all just accumulates to when you're at the end of your life, right? I say this all the time, that when I make movies, I really make it for my son when I'm no longer here. So when I'm an old man or I'm dead, him and his kid can go and watch it and be like, yo, this was your grandfather, this was my pops, right? This is when he was in his element. Because I feel alive obviously every day with my wife and my son, but outside of that, I'm not counting that. I only feel alive when I'm making movies, right? I only feel alive when I'm acting and I'm directing and I'm putting together these projects. And I feel like movies within that space, they have their own life, right? That you can always revisit at any point. So what I wish I knew earlier was, I wish I knew that it's gonna be all right. So start now. I wish I would have started in 2006. Like, not wish. I should have started. I don't like to say wish, because wish I feel like it's something that you just can't have. I should have started in 2006, because now I wouldn't have been on movie number 6 going on 7. I would have been on movie number 17, right? And who would have known that I've made lifelong friends through making movies, to where I can call up any actor and be like, yo, I want to do this project, you want to do it? And they'll all be like, yeah, let's go right now, I'm down, let's go. They're all so willing to do one of my projects. And I think that's just a testament to it. It's no longer mine, it becomes our project, right? When I do something, we're doing it. It doesn't matter if the role is small or it's big, we're creating a community, right? It may be hypitude when you're talking to me, but it's us. So even prime example, right now I'm doing the credits on Speed Faster, and the title comes on. I double up the credits and shorten it to try and get every actor's name on there, whether they had 1 line or 5 lines. I'm trying to get every actor's name in there in the credits without over flooding the page with like 20 names, right? Because I know that they took the time to trust me to make the project. So I want to make it as dope as possible. But when they sit there and watch it, they see their name come across the board, because that could have been someone's dream that I just helped fulfill.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say another thing you can do for new actors, if they've got a speaking part, maybe got 1 line, don't call them irritated air hostess.
Yeah,
Give them a character name, so when it pops up on IMDb, it looks a little bit better. That's
absolutely.
always a nice thing to do. So I just finished with my question I ask everybody. Have you got a motto?
It's funny. It's on my phone. Do something epic. I look at it every. Matter of fact, I'll show you. Hold on. This is literally my background every day.
Nice.
Do something epic.
Do something epic.
Do something epic. It's just like, man, we live in the gray, and what the gray is us doing the same thing every day. When you get to do something you love, you bring a little color into your life. It's like you can't fail when you try, because even when you land on your ass, you still have the experience of trying it. Right? Like, you realize, so Pizza Boy Rick won an award for best indie thriller action film, right? At Film Threat. And I was super excited about it. We got it and everything like that. And then you realize once you get the award or awards or anything, you're kind of like, all right, well, the feeling is the same as it was prior to. So it's the everyday journey and the communication and the interactions with yourself and just people along the way that make this journey of filmmaking special. Because you know as well as I know, we spend a bunch of hours in the room by ourselves in front of the computer. Right? To bring an art piece, an escape from reality for an audience member to their home. So it's really just it's just a journey, man.
I hope that was useful. If you're interested in listening to another episode that's all about self-distribution and getting your films out there, then you could try listening to How to Make a Profitable Low-Budget Movie on Tubi with Justin Milton. Justin's a producer and director. He's done a bunch of low-budget thrillers and dramas that have done very well online streaming platforms, and he's starting to make a significant profit. So do check that one out.